Welcome to See Beneath Your Beautiful, where guests share stories of adversity and perseverance, which inspire, encourage, and challenge us. We embrace these tough conversations, intimately exploring our loves, fears, and hopes with a delicious combination of depth and lightness.
Hi, I'm David Medansky. I am known as the anti-diet advocate because I believe people can lose weight and keep it off in a healthy manner without going on a diet, without exercising, without having to follow any exercise plan, counting calories, or buying any special products or meals.
I really feel like it's kismet that I talked to you today because, well, not just today, but I have been on every diet and have lost all the weight and gained all the weight back and plus. And a couple years ago, I got on the anti-diet train, which I really truly believe not to go on a diet because I'm just going to gain it all back. I know that I know what to do, but I can't make myself, nothing's clicking in my head.
We all know what to do. We just don't do it.
So like, for instance, just yesterday, I was feeling so good, like I'm just going to take care of myself. And I bought all the great food. And then somehow at 10 o'clock at night, I was eating chips and so frustrated.
Well, number one, why do you have chips in the house?
Well, because I'm not the only person in the house.
Okay.
So I don't want to dictate what anybody else should do. I have to have my own willpower and self-worth and self-loving despite what's in the house. I really think that's true.
It's not so much willpower as a matter of fact of making choices and lifestyle. So if you would have had something healthy instead of the chips, then it's a choice. And so what else could you have had? You know, maybe some cheese or... I had a giant, beautiful salad. I had all the different choices. That's what I'm asking. That's the whole point is I want to be kind to me and show my body the love that it deserves and take care of it with the right foods. And yet somehow, I know you're just saying it's a choice, but how come I can't get it to, especially at night, how come I can't make those good choices? Do you have that answer? Well, a lot of times we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. The reason I say that is 60 to 70% of our body is water, not soda or diet soda or fruit juices or fruit beverages. The other thing is when people think they're hungry, they're actually thirsty. Okay, yeah. And there's a direct correlation between not drinking enough water and being overweight. Okay. So 75% of the US population is chronically dehydrated, which means they're not drinking enough water. And 72% of the US adult population is overweight, of which 42% are clinically obese. Yeah. So that's why there's a direct correlation. People say, well, how much water should I drink? And it should be pure water. And what I mean by pure water is either distilled water, reverse osmosis water with a 6-stage filtering system, or spring water, not the, fancy bottled waters. But like Pellegrino, do you mean that have things in them, or is Pellegrino just sparkling? Is that okay? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, just curious. I don't have any of the additives. Yeah, it's fine as long as you don't have the additive. Yeah. The other thing is we should drink a minimum of 64 ounces of water or 1/2 of our total body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, for example, that person should drink 100 ounces of water, unless you're physically active, exercising a lot, or live in a hot climate like I do in Phoenix, Arizona. So I drink a lot of water to keep hydrated. You lost a lot of weight about 5 years ago? 6 years ago. It was July of 2016. And my doctor told me, based on my lab results and being significantly overweight, I had a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack. So he gave me 2 options: lose weight or find a new doctor. And he suggested I find a new doctor because he'd been after me for 8 years to lose the weight. And like everybody, I procrastinate, start after the holidays, after vacation, on Monday, after we go to the fancy restaurant with our friends, whatever excuse, there's many of them. We all use them and we all procrastinate. However, that was a wake-up call for me. And so during the next 4 months, I shed 50 pounds, 25% of my total body weight. The important thing is I've kept it off. And like you were saying earlier, diets are temporary, extreme, hard to stick with, and potentially dangerous, and they're designed to fail. Right. If diets worked, we'd all be thin and those companies would be out of business. And 90% of people who lose weight on a diet gain it all back within a year, some even more.
I have always gained more back. What's the answer? What are you doing? Are you plant-based? Are you what?
No, because everybody's different. Some people like meat, some don't. Some like fish, some don't. Some like chicken, some don't. It's based on what your likes and dislikes are. If you like something and it's healthy for you, eat it. If it's something that's not healthy for you, avoid it. Either substitute or reduce or eliminate. So there's many different things. I have identified what I call 9 principles or habits for healthy weight loss. And the first one is to drink more water. Because again, most of us are chronically dehydrated and our bodies are 60 to 70% water. The second thing is to avoid the processed foods and manufactured foods. And manufactured foods are potato chips.
Right.
They're made in a factory or a lab. And a lot of them, like Pringles, aren't even real potatoes. It's chemicals.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you want to avoid things that are manufactured, again, not made by nature, made in a lab by a person in a white lab coat. The third thing is you want to eat more whole foods, the holistic foods. I do not include imitation meats as plant-based. They may be plant-based, but they have a lot of chemicals in them. I avoid the Impossible Burger, the Beyond Burger, or anything that's imitation should be avoided.
Right.
So there's a lot of things you can eat. I mean, do you like apples, pears? Avoid orange juice because it takes 4 to 8 medium oranges to make 1 glass of orange juice. Well, would you eat 4 to 8 oranges at one sitting?
Right. I mean, everything you're saying is things I know and believe and have heard before. And so thank you for the reminders.
And that's what it is. So I created a daily journal that'll be available soon for people just to write down and keep track. And you can just keep track on a piece of paper each day, what you eat, where you eat, when you eat, how much you eat, and then make notes why you're eating. So most people don't look at food as fuel for their body. They look at it for relieving stress or comfort, for enjoyment, socializing. Very few people think of food as fuel for the body.
Yeah.
And so if you change your mindset, then you start looking at things differently. And the other thing is you have to understand that a lot of these processed foods and manufactured foods are scientifically engineered to optimize our cravings for fat, salt, sugar, and texture. It's known as the bliss point, which is a term coined by Howard Moskowitz, who worked for the food industries for over 30 years. And he's responsible for creating many of the Campbell's soup varieties, the Prego spaghetti sauce varieties, the Dr. Pepper varieties, among other foods that we're familiar with. So you want to avoid those things. In fact, an Oreo cookie is more addicting than cocaine because of the sugar.
Yeah.
And that's what they've turned us into is food junkies.
Right. I was not addicted to sugar. I was sugar-free 100%, didn't crave it at all. And then had it. And now I can't stop craving, like you're saying, the salt, sugars, fat is the answer. You can never have those things because it'll send you on a spiral.
It all depends. Yeah. And the reason I say that is I know I'm addicted to Pringles potato chips. I'll go through a canister and still crave more. So I won't touch it. I'm addicted to M&Ms, to Hershey bars.
I appreciate that. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I treat it like I'm an alcoholic, where if I have one drink, I won't stop. So I won't start those things. However, I do enjoy a piece of chocolate cake every once in a while, or pumpkin pie or pecan pie.
Yeah.
I eat ice cream. I don't eat it every week. It's a treat. And the other thing is I have smaller portions of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that satisfies my craving without overindulging.
Yeah.
And the other thing is we tend to eat very fast because everybody's in a hurry.
Right.
So I teach people to slow down.
I know it's not new information. I need to maybe listen every day or have a new thought every morning.
Do you do affirmations? Because you do positive mental affirmations for weight loss or healthy eating, and then you change our negative thinking. 80% of our thoughts are negative. Okay.
So give me an example of an affirmation that I could do.
I am making healthy choices.
Right. It's just so simple. It's so annoying that it's so simple.
Instead of saying I'm losing weight,
you
say I am making healthy choices to reach my ideal weight.
Right. I hear you, because I don't want it to be out of I need to be a certain size. I want it to be because I want to be healthy. I want to move my body because I have been blessed with a body that moves.
And speaking of movement, walking is one of the best physical activities you can do. Exercise is a myth for losing weight. And the reason I say that is people make their New Year's resolution on January 1st and they go to the gym and they're eating healthy. And then all of a sudden, after 3 weeks of doing this, the scale hasn't moved.
Right.
And I had a client I was working with, and after 3 weeks, he says, I'm not shedding any weight. I said, well, are you exercising? He goes, yeah, I'm riding my bike and I'm walking 5 miles a day. And I said, well, how do your clothes feel? And he goes, oh, they're loose. In fact, people are asking me if I'm losing weight. However, the scale's not moving. I said, don't go by the scale. The scale's lying to you. Go by how your clothes fit. And the reason being is fat and muscle weigh the exact same. 5 pounds of fat is 5 pounds of muscle. The difference being muscle takes up a lot less room. It's denser. And so that's what I tell people is don't go by the scale, because after 3 weeks, they get frustrated and they stop.
The guy who does the psychology of eating once said to throw out the scale. And I remember thinking, well, that will work for everybody else, but not me, because how will I know? But I have since thrown out the scale, and it's a real blessing to not live and die by a number.
Your clothes will tell you whether you're reducing weight or gaining weight. You don't need the scale.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
What time do you normally go to bed?
I just told my husband this. This is what really pisses me off. I kind of fell asleep on the couch around 9 and woke back up and then had chips. I was like, if I had just gone to bed, I'm so frustrated that I really felt so positive yesterday that something clicked in my head and that I was on the right path and I was all about taking care of myself. And then the late at night binging, I guess it was. I mean, I had chips and I definitely wasn't hungry. I'd already eaten dinner.
But the best thing to do is after dinner, brush your teeth.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because it's a little trick. If you brush your teeth, people usually who have a clean mouth aren't as hungry. It works as an appetite suppressant.
Such a good idea. Yeah.
Again, you could have had a glass of water. You could have made yourself some tea.
I could have had the apple. I could have had anything.
Well, actually, after 3 hours before you go to bed, you shouldn't have anything.
I know. So that's what's so frustrating is I know everything you're saying. So, okay. So what number tip are you on now?
Well, we talked about eating slowly. That was number 4. Number 5 is eat small portions. And what people don't realize is our portions have been supersized.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is in the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter. Today, it's 12 inches.
Oh, interesting.
Yet in Europe, it's still 9 inches. If you go to a restaurant, the serving platters are anywhere from 13 to 15 inches.
Oh, wow.
So what I tell people is if you go to a restaurant, get a to-go box right away, cut half of your meal in half, put it into the to-go box and eat the rest, because then you get a smaller portion. And if you eat slower, you'll enjoy it more. Plus you're saving money because you're getting 2 meals for the price of 1.
Right, right. So I've listened to a lot of diet people, and there's one lady, actually 2 of them I could think of, that say you can eat in quantity, just eat the right things.
To an extent.
Like eat all the vegetables if you're extra hungry. What do you think of that?
You can eat as many vegetables as you want, as long as you enjoy what you're eating. If you don't enjoy it, then again, you're making it detrimental to what you're trying to achieve. So I advocate a lifestyle that you want to look forward to eating the apple or the pear, or Ezekiel bread's very healthy. It's a whole grain versus multi-grain.
Yeah.
That's very good. Plain Greek yogurt with whole milk is good for you. You can throw in some either fresh or frozen berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberry. You can eat a pint of blueberries and it's 100 calories. An apple is about 100 calories and it takes our body 25 calories to process. So it's net of 75 calories. And you get all the nutritional benefits and phytonutrients in there. If you eat a Hershey bar, which is 125 calories, there's no nutritional value. It takes your body 0 to process it. So calories aren't equal. They're not the same. What do you like? Do you like avocados?
Everything you discussed just now. I have the blueberries, I have an avocado, I have an apple. Like I bought all the right things yesterday. So that's what's so funny is that I definitely know how to take care of myself and want to.
Okay. And do you like eggs? So here's the thing about eggs. You need to get pasture eggs as opposed to range free or cage free. The pasture eggs, it means the hens are outside foraging for food. They eat the bugs, the grass, whatever they can find. However, cage free or range free means that the hens are allowed to go outside. But if you see how they're cooped up, none of them ever go outside. And a lot of times on the carton will say special grain or grain fed. Well, that's corn and soy.
Okay.
So people who think they're gluten-free and they're eating these eggs, they're not gluten-free. They're a little bit more expensive for the pasture eggs.
I'm worth it.
Say they're $6 or $7 for a dozen. it's about 50 or 60 cents per egg. How much do people spend for a breakfast sandwich at Burger King or Wendy's and McDonald's or Starbucks? In Starbucks, it's not even real eggs. It's imitation eggs.
Oh, yeah. And also the cost of the eggs is better than the cost of the doctor down the road.
Well, exactly. And not everybody likes eggs. So like, well, what else can I eat? Well, do you like oatmeal? I use steel cut oats and rolled oats.
Yeah.
And I throw in ground Ceylon cinnamon as a sweetener. And I throw some chopped walnuts. And then when it's done cooking, I throw in some chia seeds. And so it's crunchy and it tastes good and it's healthy, it fills you up and gives you a lot of dietary fiber that you need. Again, not everybody likes oatmeal. Do you like tuna?
Yep.
So make sure when you get the tuna, it's usually on the front, it'll say packed in water. However, if you turn it over and look at the ingredients, a lot of times it'll say tuna, water, vegetable broth, and sea salt. Well, what's in that vegetable broth? Well, they can have up to 168 different compounds without disclosing it. So there's only two places that I can find tuna in water that says tuna, water, maybe sea salt. Mm-hmm. And that's at Costco, the Kierland brand or Wild Planet brand. And even chicken of the sea at Costco is that, because the chicken of the sea at the normal grocery stores here, when I read the ingredients, it'll say the vegetable broth in there.
Interesting.
So again, it's a marketing gimmick. People aren't trained to look at the ingredients on the nutritional fact panels, and they make it very small, fine print.
Yeah.
And so people read those nutritional fact panels wrong. They look at the calories, they look at the protein, the sodium, the sugar, grams of fat. Very few people go further down at the bottom and read the ingredients and what they're actually putting into their bodies.
Right. Well, what do you think about eat fat to get thin and then no fat? That's the thing. It depends who you listen to.
One expert will tell you one thing. A second expert will say a second thing. And a third expert will say the first two are both wrong.
It's why we're all struggling, because I don't know who to listen to.
Right. So you need to listen to your body.
Oh, that's right.
Drink lots of water. Mm-hmm. When I get up in the morning, I drink a 20-ounce glass of water right away and rehydrate. And then I usually eat breakfast at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. So I go what is technically an intermittent fast because I stop eating at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. And my first meal is maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. Well, that's 12 to 14 hours. And then I'll have another glass of 20-ounce water, maybe an hour later. I'll have a cup of coffee in between. Black coffee. Green tea is great as long as it's unsweetened. Mm-hmm. And so breakfast is what it means, is to break the fast.
Right.
So a lot of people, like yourself last night, you ate chips at 10 o'clock at night. You're not giving your body time to digest the food and process it.
Right.
So think of a lawnmower. If you don't clean the undercarriage and the wet grass builds up, it makes the blade work harder, makes the engine work harder. Well, that's what happens with our digestive systems. If we don't give time for our body to clean itself, it builds up, and then we're making our bodies and our organs work harder. And that's when we start breaking down and deteriorating. Think of a sink full of dishes and it keeps piling up because you're not washing them. Before you know it, you got bugs and other bacteria and problems. And that's what's going on in our stomachs if we don't give it time. So intermittent fast is relatively easy if you just stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed and maybe eat your first meal an hour or two after you wake up.
Okay, what's the next tip?
Get adequate sleep, because most people don't get enough adequate sleep because we have electronics in our bedrooms. We have the TVs, the cell phones, and other devices, and those emit electromagnetic energy. So it disrupts our body's sleep. Mm. What they found in research is to lose 1 pound, you need to reduce your caloric intake by 500 calories per day for an entire week. If you're sleep deprived, you'll consume an extra 500 calories the next day. And that's why people reach for the energy drinks, which are full of sugar and other chemicals. Very bad for you to do that. The other thing is keep a positive mindset, because what we focus on expands. So if you're focusing on, oh, I shouldn't have those potato chips, guess what? You're going to eat those potato chips. If you change your focus to, oh, I should have a glass of water or make some tea or eat something healthy, you have a slice of Ezekiel bread, throw some raw honey on it. In fact, they found that a teaspoon of raw honey about an hour before you go to bed will actually help you sleep better.
Oh, that's good to know.
So, people are like, well, that has extra sugar, it's calories. How is it going to help you reduce weight? Because it does. It's a healthy sugar, not, manufactured or processed sugar.
It's not an ose. You're supposed to avoid all the oses.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, walk each day, maybe a half hour to an hour.
Yeah.
Rebel Wilson lost 77 pounds by walking an hour each day. And another actress started walking. What she did was when she had a 10-minute break, instead of doing social media or texting people, she go on a 10-minute walk. Well, if you do that 4 or 5 times a day, you're moving 40 to 50 minutes. It doesn't have to be all at one time.
Right.
You can do physical activity in short increments. You don't have to spend an hour or two at the gym. You don't have to take time to drive there. You can just do little things to get your body moving. The other thing is people are like, well, should I eat 6 meals a day, smaller meals? Should I snack? Should I have 3 meals? Again, it varies from person to person. It's what's going to fit your lifestyle and how your body reacts. Mm-hmm. If you're hungry, then you should eat. Or the first thing you should do is drink water. And then, if you're still hungry, eat something. Make changes gradually. What I usually ask people is, would you like to weigh 24 to 48 pounds lighter by this time next year? And most people who want to or need to lose that much weight say yes. Well, can you lose 2, 3, 4 pounds a month? Not a week, a month. And most people are like, well, yeah, I can do that. Okay, well, if you lose 2, 3, 4 pounds a month on average for 12 months, because some months you'll lose more, some you won't lose any at all.
Yeah.
That's 24 to 48 pounds lighter by this time next year.
Right.
And again, we didn't put our weight on overnight. It's not going to come off overnight. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time.
Right.
Well, how do you lose weight? 1 ounce and 1 pound at a time. And you need to be patient. The national brands advertise, lose 15, 20, 30 pounds guaranteed your first month.
Right.
You'll lose that weight. Number 1, may not be healthy for you. Number 2, it's not sustainable or maintainable.
Right.
So think of a diet as a sprint. When you're sprinting, there's a finish line. A diet, there's a goal. You reach your goal, you stop, and what happens? Most people revert back to their old eating habits and want to treat themselves. And when they treat themselves, it's to food instead of buying, a new pair of shoes or a new outfit or something else. It's food.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I advocate is lifestyle, which is a marathon. Except in this marathon, there's no finish line. You just keep going.
Yeah.
And that's how you look at things a little differently. And if you think of food as fuel for the body, it's what am I putting into my body? Am I giving it the right food to have high optimum performance? Most people take better care of their automobiles or their pets than their own selves. I'm not telling people to be a purist. I'm not. Every once in a while, I enjoy some ice cream. I enjoy that chocolate cake, small slices.
I think that's really important, though, that's not cut off from you for the rest of your life. And then so that it's not a panic that you'll never have it again. I think that's what happens is when you go on a diet, there's a panic.
Right. And the other thing is support groups are great. An accountability partner is better. And in the book, I describe how to get an accountability partner. It doesn't even have to be someone who's on a weight loss journey or even knows about weight loss. All they need to know is you said you're going to do something. Did you do it? If not, why not? And what did you learn from it? And how are you going to correct it the next week? So there's how you have an accountability phone call. All you want to do is be responsible to somebody because we tend to respect other people's time more than our own. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to take up someone's time to have them be accountable to, you're going to usually follow through. What I found with a lot of my clients, when they would talk to me once a week, they knew the first question I was going to ask them was, how much water did you drink? So they would always tell me they would drink more water, knowing that I was going to ask them, did you drink enough water?
Yeah.
And so it's little things like that. Support groups are great. The other thing is in research, they found that people who did journals or just wrote down what they were eating tended to lose 66% more weight than those who didn't.
Just because they were accountable to themselves.
Exactly. And then you start seeing trends and what you think is healthy isn't. So for example, a lot of people will eat the deli meats and they'll get the reduced sodium or the turkey or the roast beef or whatever. And they think, oh, that's healthy. No, it's all processed. So you want to avoid that. And they're like, well, what can I eat? Make a list of what you do like and focus on that. Dan Buettner wrote the book, The Blue Zones. People who aren't familiar with the blue zones, it's 5 areas around the world where people have longevity, 95 to over 100, but in good health. And he found that they have similar things in their diets, including red wine. Red wine is healthy as long as it's a glass or 2. He also found that they limited their food to 25 ingredients or less. So we're blessed with an abundance of variety. The average grocery store in the 1990s had about 15,000 items on their shelf, 15. Today, it's over 50,000, 50. Now, I don't know about you, Hera. I don't know how many new fruits, vegetables, berries, or nuts have been discovered in that time period. And it's not many. However, there's a lot of different varieties of the Doritos and the chips and the sodas. And the other thing is we do things out of convenience.
Yeah.
It's easier to go through the fast food drive-through, the McDonald's, the Burger King, the Wendy's, the Jack in the Boxes. It's easier to order a pizza or have it delivered. It's easy to pick up a bucket of fried chicken or take Chinese for takeout. It's easier to get the frozen microwavable meals than to buy the fresh food, keep in the refrigerator and prepare it, for 5 or 10 minutes a night.
Right.
It's convenience. And so when you want to take the time to take care of your body, then you take the time to buy the good foods and to prepare it, as opposed to, I'll just stop through the drive-through. The other thing is the color blue is an appetite suppressant. So I use a blue plate.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a blue salad plate. Red and yellow are appetite stimulants, which is why McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, and Carl's Jr., other fast food places all use red and yellow in their marketing schemes.
So clever of them.
The food industry pays millions and millions of dollars to psychologists and marketing experts to find out how to manipulate us to buying and purchasing their products. If you fail to lose weight on a diet or keep it off, it's not your fault. It's the diet's fault, because diets are designed to be failed.
Right.
If those weight loss programs worked and diet programs worked out there, we'd all be thinner and healthier. And they'd be out of business after a few years.
Right. You wouldn't need them for the rest of your life. Right. I get it. And I'm totally off the diet train, but I need to make a plan for myself for caring for myself. I was 65 pounds lighter at the beginning of COVID. I've just lost my way somewhere during COVID. I really feel like I'm off the tracks, and I keep waiting for it just to click. And maybe this is the conversation where it does for me. So thank you for this conversation. Well, what tip are we on?
But that was it. We gave all 9.
Oh, okay. Well, that was really, really great. And you have a book out?
Yeah, it's called Break the Chains of Dieting.
Okay.
And it's been endorsed and recommended by Jack Canfield, co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's won 9 awards so far.
Oh, awesome.
And people love the stories. They find it entertaining. Mm-hmm. So it's not a book that says you must do this or you must do that. There's certain things, yes, you must do. You must eliminate soda, diet soda, fruit juices, and fruit flavored beverages. You must eliminate the highly processed and manufactured foods. It's not extreme where you have to suddenly just stop eating all that. It's just reduce. Yeah. So if you're drinking 2 sodas or 3 sodas a day, can you go down to 1?
Right.
And eventually, get off it. People are like, well, how does a diet soda cause weight gain? It's 0 calories. And I explain it's the aspartame in there. And aspartame has 92 known side effects. And one of them is weight gain. And people are like, well, how does that work? Well, aspartame inhibits your body from absorbing vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So now your body's in starvation mode. And now your body's fighting like crazy to keep the weight on because, again, it's survival. Aspartame increases your cravings for sweetness. So now you may be having the diet soda, but now you're going to go crave the candy bar or the cookie or the cakes and the pies and the other goodies. So it's a double-edged sword.
I met somebody recently who just at a women's group, and she was saying how she was a weight loss coach. She had just lost a bunch of weight and she was drinking a diet soda. I was so confused. And she was saying, I drink so much more diet soda now that I've lost the weight. I mean, I guess she was a weight loss coach, but she wasn't a health coach.
And there's a difference. Just because a person is thin does not mean they're healthy.
Right. That's the thing.
You don't know what's inside. They could have issues with drugs. They can have issues with medical conditions. I always advise people to see their medical doctor and get their hormones tested, get their thyroid tested, because there may be some underlying medical conditions you're not aware of that's causing the weight gain. I had one friend, not a client, a friend, who had gained 45 pounds and she was eating healthy and doing everything. She was unable to lose the weight. And finally, she went to the doctor and they changed her thyroid medication and she lost the 35 pounds within 2 months, just with a change of medication.
I've checked all that. I just need to be accountable to me.
You should have a code of honor with yourself. Most people don't have a code of honor. And so I describe in the book how to have a code of honor on food. And one of the things is you make some hard and fast rules. Let's say you're at a barbecue and the host is making this incredible grass-fed special burger and freshly baked buns and has all your favorite condiments. And he offers you the cheese that you like. What do? especially if you're on a restricted diet. Well, most people say, okay, I'll eat it. However, in this case, you're a vegetarian. You don't eat red meat.
Right.
So the answer is real simple. I don't eat meat. So you say, thank you. No, thank you, because that's a rule.
Right.
The other thing is you're at the same barbecue and he offers you your favorite glass of wine and you really like the wine. But again, you're on a restricted diet. And you're on a restricted diet because you're pregnant, and women who are pregnant normally don't drink alcohol.
Right.
So the answer is no, I don't drink alcohol. It's not that I can't or I won't. I don't. It's a rule. You're at a wedding and they have this incredible baker brought in, world renowned for delicious cake, and they offer you a slice. And you have to respectfully decline because the cake has nuts in it, and you're deathly allergic to nuts. So you don't eat the wedding cake because of the nuts. So again, it's a rule. So if you make certain rules and you stick with it, all of a sudden those become routines, behaviors, and now it's a habit also. And you have to give it time. Most people think 21 to 30 days is enough to establish a new habit. It's not. They found in research that it's 66 days on average. So it may take a little longer or a little shorter, but on average, 66 days to keep a new habit going.
I love everything you said, but I think the most important thing you've said for me was the code of honor, because that really speaks to me. I want to trust myself.
Yeah, it's your integrity. It's not what you do when people are watching. It's what you do when no one's watching. And now you're being honest with yourself. And a lot of people like to cheat. Oh, no one's here. I'll have the cookie or the soda, or I'll have the chips or the Doritos or the pretzels. And nobody will know. Well, your body knows and you know.
Well, this has been so great. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all the information and the reminders and the code of honor. I like that. I did this one diet called, well, the last diet I did was called Bright Line Eating. Did you ever hear of that one?
Yes, Susan Thompson.
Yeah. And it did work until it didn't. But that's kind of the same idea of bright line, is that in legalese, a bright line is something you don't cross.
Right.
One thing I did like about that was hunger wasn't an emergency. It's okay to be hungry. We don't allow ourselves, though. That was a good lesson too. Like I said, I've done every diet.
Now you don't want to do a diet. You want to do a lifestyle change and improve your eating behavior.
I refuse to do a diet, and I want to do it based on what I know and how much I love me, not based on I need to lose a certain amount and to look a certain way. I do want to feel better, but I want to do it out of love, not hate.
If they want to get the book, Break the Chains of Dieting, it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores, and they can go to their local library. If the library doesn't have it, the library can order it so they can get it for free to read. The other thing is they can reach out to me at iamthinning.com, and people can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and they can reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions and emails and direct messages. I don't charge for it. I want to help as many people reverse the overweight epidemic that we're having in this country. And I want people to avoid having the scare that I did. I was fortunate. I'm 67. I avoided the heart attack. I just got finished climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, awesome.
A lot of my colleagues weren't so fortunate. They've had the heart attacks. They're having the knee replacements, the hip replacements. They're dealing with other medical issues. And they're looking at me saying, how are you doing this? Well, I made changes to my eating habits and lifestyle.
I know a 53-year-old man who just died of a heart attack or something. Anyway, he died in his sleep from some heart problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, people think the number one cause of death is heart related. It's not. The underlying cause is food related. Before COVID, 72% of people in hospitals were there for food related issues.
I know 2 people who have had, I guess this is food related, have had diverticulitis.
Yes.
What is the bag called?
Colostomy.
A colostomy bag. And they're young women.
And that's because of their eating habits. If you're over age 50, you have an 80% probability that you're a type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. And if you're pre-diabetic, what that means is if you do not change your eating habits and lifestyle, you'll be a full-blown type 2 diabetic within 7 years. And what's happening is the food we're eating is toxic. It's poisonous. However, it's not an immediate thing. It's gradual. So as you're gradually putting these toxins in your body, over 15, 20, 30, 40 years, it's building up. And then we have negative consequences because of it. Type 2 diabetes, some people think it's reversible. Some think it just puts in remission. However, you can avoid it or reverse it or put in remission, changing your eating habits.
I just want to be healthy because I'm so blessed with health at the moment. I don't want to disregard it.
I had one person I was talking to whose husband was overweight and didn't want to change his eating habits. And so I said, ask him to take out more life insurance on him. And she goes, why? I said, well, tell him you want to enjoy the money with the other guy if he's not going to take care of himself. And all of a sudden he had a change of heart and started changing his eating habits. So
I don't think I could say that to my husband without him getting very, very upset. There can be chips in the house, and I just have to have integrity. That's the thing. It's about me and my choices, not about anybody else.
My wife enjoys her ice cream. I don't eat it. I don't like the vanilla, and she has her chips and I just don't bother with it. And, she eats a little bit and, she's thin and healthy. And again, she enjoys it. So great. No judgment. I don't ever want to judge people for their eating habits.
Well, this has been very pleasant, and I really appreciate you. I can tell that you're very genuine and you're caring, and it's not just a shtick.
It's not about the money. It's about helping people and having people being healthy. And I count my blessings. I'm very fortunate to have good health and be active, and I'd like that for other people. It's a mental attitude. I had a classmate reach out to me for one of my books, and she said she was going on the cabbage soup diet. And I said, why? She says, well, I go on it every year and I win. I said, but you gain the weight back. I said, I'm going to help you. You're not going to do that anymore. Her goal was to lose 35 pounds. She ended up losing 45 pounds over 6 months.
Awesome.
Because that's what her body wanted. We were talking and she goes, well, let's see. You go to Rocky Point, Mexico, you go on trips, you're hiking, you're doing this. She was like, you plan for living. And she was, we're the same age and I'm planning and looking forward to dying. She goes, I need a change of attitude. I said, yes, you do.
Awesome.
And so she changed her attitude. She met somebody and she's much happier. And that's what it is. It's mindset. Thank you so much. I appreciate being a guest.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of See Beneath Your Beautiful, hosted by Hara Allison. And thanks for your ratings and reviews. We'll be back next week with a new episode. Stay tuned.